Hi guys, and welcome back to another tutorial in the series Clinic Management System in C#. So in this tutorial we'll be creating the reservations actually. So the first thing that we want to do is create a new button and gonna call it Create Reservation. And we want to create a new form. We want to call it Create Reservation. Alright. So let's double click on our Create Reservation button. So we're going to hide this form and create reservation. Create reservation is equal to new create reservation, and then create reservation dot show dialog, and then I'm going to show our this form again. Okay, so we're done with the secretary panel part. Now in this create reservation we're gonna need a couple of text boxes, a list box, combo box. Alright, so this is our form. So here we're gonna search for the patient that wanna make the reservation by phone or name as we did before. It's going to be displayed in the list box, and then we select the patient, we select the date, and then the available slot, and reserve the slot. Just as easy as this. But in order to do this, first we are going to declare our slots, right? So we're doing this in the utils class that we used before to create our hash password function, because we want this slots to be universal and used anywhere across our project. So we want to create a function. I'm going to call public static, and it's actually going to return a dictionary, and this dictionary will correspond to our slots. So it's going to return a dictionary. The key is going to be an integer and the value is going to be a string, as we're going to see. So I'm going to call my function get slots. So we're creating a new dictionary here, dictionary of int and string. We're going to call it slots is equal to new dictionary. And then we're going to add our slots. So slots.add. So slot of key 1 is going to be slot 1, which is from 6:00 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. You can make it whatever it is, and you can make your best number of slots, but we agreed for this tutorials that we are going to be using 10 slots that are going to start from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Alright, so now we're done with our slots. We are going to return this dictionary. So return slots. Okay, so this is our function get slots. Let's go back to our create reservations form, and what we're gonna want to do is actually implement the function update list as we did before. So I click anywhere, go to view code, and of course we'll be using system.data.sql client, and we want to create our connection. So SQL connection con is equal to new SQL connection, and the connection string is in properties dot resources dot connection string, and SQL command, and we're gonna define it later on. Okay, so we're gonna create our function now. Private void update list is gonna take the string query as we did before. So command is equal to con.create command, command.command text is equal to select and we're going to select the account underscore ID, account underscore name, and account underscore type from account, where account underscore type is equal to 2, which is the patient account, and account underscore name is like add query, or account underscore phone is like add query, right, as we did before. Okay, so this is our query. So we're gonna add our parameter, command.parameters.add with value, add query, and then our parameter, which is actually query plus a percentage sign, as we always do. Okay, now we're gonna open our connections, con.open, and then con.close. And we're gonna clear our list box. List box 1.items.clear, and then this is obviously an execute reader because we're reading the rows, right? So SQL data reader is equal to command.execute reader. While reader.read, then we wanna add to the list box 1. So this box 1.items.add, and we want to add a new account, right? Remember, it takes the ID, which is reader.getN32 of 0, takes the account name, which is reader.getString of 1, and takes the account type, which is reader.getN32 of 2. I'll disregard a bracket here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's it with the update list function. We want to call the update list function when we open our form. So double click on the form and call update list with an empty string. And we want to call it also when we change the text in the text box 1. So double click on text box 1, and we're going to call the update list function, and we're going to give it the text box value. So text box 1.text. Okay, so now when we choose our the patient, we want to actually choose the date and then the slots. So we want to make the function that is gonna update this combo box of these slots. So I'm gonna go back to our code. I'm gonna create a function. I'm gonna call it, it's gonna be a private void. I'm gonna call it update slots, right? So command is equal to con.create command, and command text is gonna be, now we want to select all the slots that are occupied at the same date that we selected, right? So what we want to do is actually type select reservation underscore visit underscore slot. So this is the field of the slot from our table, which is reservation, where the reservation underscore visit underscore date is equal to add date, right? And we want to specify that add date. So command the parameters dot add with value, and then the add date, and our date is going to be in the date time picker 1, date time picker 1 dot value dot toString. But we're gonna specify the format for this because it's stored in the database as years, and then the months, and then the days, right? So Y. So 4 small letters of Y, and then a hyphen or a dash, and then 2 letters of capital M, and then a dash, and then 2 letters of small d, and that's it, right? So this is the format of our date that we want to pass to our query. Okay, so this is obviously going to be also a data reader because it's gonna fetch many rows. Okay, so we're gonna open our connection, so con.open, and close it again, so con.close, and then SQL data reader, we're gonna name it reader, is equal to command.execute reader, right? I want to loop over our the result, so while reader.read, what we're gonna want to do is actually keep the available slots from our dictionary that we made, right? So first of all, we want to get our dictionary. So I'm gonna create a dictionary. It's gonna be of int and string. I'm gonna name it slots, and it's gonna be equal to utils.getSlots, right? And what we're gonna want to do is actually call slots.remove and give it the key. The key is actually the reservation underscore visit underscore slot that is returned by our query. So reader.getIn32 of 0, and that's it. So after this part, we're gonna end up with the available slots that we can actually reserve. So what we want to do now is fill our combo box with these slots. So first of all, we want to clear the combo box, right? So combo box 1.items.clear, and then we want to loop over our slots. So for each object, slot in slots dot to array. So what we're gonna want to do with this slot is actually put it in the combo box. So combo box 1.items.add, and then we'll give it the slot, and that's it, right? And we want to select the first index of the combo box by default. Okay, so we're gonna check if combo box 1.items.count is greater than 0. So this means that we have some values in the combo box. Then we want to select the first index. So combo box 1.selected index is equal to 1. Let's go back to our design view. So we want to call the update slots function whenever we choose a date or we load the form. So double click on the form again to go to the load event, and we want to call update slots, and we're gonna double click on this date time picker to go to the value changed event function, and we're gonna call the update slots as well. Okay, so one thing to mention is that the reservations are like from today and up. You cannot reserve a date in the past, right? So what we want to do is actually go to the form load event and type date time picker dot min date is equal to date time dot today, right? Okay, let's go back to our design mode. So now what we have to do is actually reserve the slot. So let's double click on the reserve slot. So in order to reserve a slot, we have to make sure that we chose a patient and that we chose a slot and a date, right? So this is going to be our validation for the inputs. So we're going to start with inputs, validation. So we're going to check for the patient ID first. So if list box 1.selected index is less than 0, or list box 1.selected index is greater than the list box 1.items.count. Let's make this greater than or equal, right? So what we're gonna want to do is actually display message box dot show please select a patient, right? And we want to return without doing anything. The second check that we want to do is that we have selected a slot, right? So if combo box 1 dot selected index is less than 0, right, then we're having problems. So we want to display a message box. So message box dot show, please select a slot, and we want to return. Okay, so once we reach this point, then we are going to perform the reservation, right? So in order to perform the reservation, we're going to need the secretary ID, the patient ID, the visit date, the visit slot, and that's it, right? So we have the patient ID. Actually, we're gonna get it from the list box, but we don't have the secretary ID. So we gotta go all the way up to the constructor of this class, and we want to pass in an integer. So basically int ID, okay? And we're gonna store this here as int secretary underscore ID. So in the constructor, we're gonna say secretary ID is equal to ID, and by this we store the ID of the secretary that is performing the reservation, right? So let's go back to the reservation button click function, and first let's fetch the account ID of the patient. So int patient underscore ID is gonna be equal to, between two brackets and between two other brackets, we're gonna be casting this to the class account that we created before. We're gonna cast the list box 1 dot selected item, right, dot get ID. So this is the ID of the patient, and now we want to get the slot actually. So int slot, and it's gonna be equal to, we're gonna cast this to a key value pair. So let's put two brackets, and in between two brackets also we're gonna type in key value pair, and it's an int string key value pair actually. And what are we casting? We're casting the combo box 1 dot selected item dot key, right? So this is going to be or going to correspond to the slot that we have chosen. Okay, now we want to type our query. So command is equal to con.create command, and command.command text is equal to insert into our table, which is reservation, right? We want to insert into the reservations in what columns? In reservation underscore secretary underscore ID and reservation underscore patient underscore ID and reservation underscore visit underscore date, reservation underscore visit underscore slot, and finally reservation underscore date, right? So what values do you want to insert? We want to insert values at secretary underscore ID, at patient underscore ID, at visit underscore date, at visit underscore slot, and at day. Okay, so this is our query. We want to add now our parameters. So command parameters.add with value the secretary underscore ID. I forgot the at secretary underscore ID. This is gonna be the secretary underscore ID integer that we created now. Command.parameters.add with value at patient underscore ID. This is gonna be the patient underscore ID that we extracted from the list box. Then command.parameters.add with value, and we're gonna add the visit at visit underscore date, right? And this is going to be the date time picker 1 dot value dot toString actually. and command the parameters to add with value. And what we want to add now is the visit underscore slot, and this is actually the slot that we extracted from the combo box. And finally, command the parameters to add with value at date, which is going to be the current date, so date time dot now. What we want to do now is actually execute our query. So obviously this is going to be execute non-query because we are seeing the number of rows affected. So first of all, we gotta open up our connection. So con.open and con.close. Okay. If command.execute non-query is greater than 0, then we successfully perform the reservation, right? We're gonna do something. We're gonna actually fetch the reservation ID, right? But else, we're gonna display a message box. So message box.show field to perform the reservation. Okay, so we want to now fetch the reservation ID that we have just made. So command text is equal to select, and what we want to select the reservation underscore ID from reservation, where reservation underscore visit underscore date is equal to at visit underscore date, and the reservation underscore slot is equal to underscore visit underscore slot is equal to at visit underscore slot. So basically these parameters are already defined in this command because I did not create a new command, right? So we want to just pass it into our query and then execute scalar to get this reservation ID. So int reservation underscore ID is equal to command dot execute scalar. I want to cast this to an integer. So let's just put between two brackets int at the beginning of the line. Okay. So we want to display message box actually. Message box dot show reservation was made, and then we're gonna show the reservation ID. So message box dot show reservation ID, and then plus, and then reservation ID dot toString. Okay, so that's it for the reservations. And actually, we want to update our slots after performing the reservations. So at the end of the function, we're gonna call update slots. Right? Let's go back to our create reservations form to check if we're missing something. Okay, so we have to go back to our secretary panel. We're gonna double click on the create reservation, and now the create reservation takes the secretary ID, which is actually going to be the account underscore ID that we created before in the secretary panel. So we're gonna pass in here account underscore ID. Let's run it now. And we want to log in as secretary. So the username is secretary and the password is 123. Let's log in and go to create reservation. Alright, so here we have our patients, Basil, Akmal, and Muhammad, and the dates are here. So let's perform a reservation for Basil on 20 November 2019. And these are the available slots that we have. Let's choose, for example, slot number 5. We're going to reserve the slot. Reservation was made. The reservation ID is 12. Okay. And then we're going to see that 5 no longer appears in our combo box. Let's make Muhammad reserve on another date, for example, 21. Alright, so here we have the slot 5 again. Let's make him reserve slot 10. Reserve the slot. reservation was made. It's of ID 13 and the search is working also. Alright, so that's it guys for this tutorial, and catch you in the next one.